Hey, and welcome to Matt and Jess TV. I am Matt Rose.
And I'm Jessica Bun Bun.
Welcome to our reaction and review for Black Mirror Season 7, Episode 1, Common People. We are back talking Black Mirror. It has been a while, but you know what? This show, it takes its time. Whenever we get the episodes, we get the episodes.
Yeah, and I mean, I was really surprised that this was the first episode that they dropped in all 6 of these because while it was very good, very good, I walked out of this feeling miserable, like beyond miserable. This episode just broke me apart.
Yeah, this was really depressing. Now, I mean, there's a history of Black Mirror giving us depressing episodes.
For sure.
I mean, this is not the only one that has been that way, but I think when we're talking a lot about issues that are going on in the real world and the way in which people are being treated by larger entities and X, Y, and Z, I think it's just this episode hits home for a lot of people where you're in this situation where you think you've kind of established this new normal for yourself, and then this higher power comes in and it's just like, well, actually, no, we wanted to give you a taste of what that life is like, but no, unless you want to stop having ad reads in the middle of your sentences, you need to go ahead and push that upgrade.
Yeah, upgrade. It is just this definitely hit home in a lot of ways. Whether obviously it's not exactly like this that's happening at this point, but can we get hit there? Absolutely. And there are a lot of, streaming services and other things, services in general that are like, oh yeah, you can have this tier, the plus tier, the premium tier, and it's just they keep pushing you into spending more money. But now when it's attached to your life,
Yeah.
it's, what do you do to keep the person that you love?
Yeah, I think this is a very good episode of Black Mirror. It's one I'm probably never going to watch again. And
Never.
that's just, I don't need to be this depressed by willing choice every single day of my life. It's one thing to say, I've been here, I've experienced this, but I do not need to experience it again. I'm good now.
No, this episode was excellent. It really was, but I will never watch it again.
No, well, we're going to be here throughout all of Black Mirror this season with reviews. We're going to dive into what is hopefully a really good, seemingly sci-fi focused chapter of the show. Before we go further, be sure to hit that subscribe button so you do not miss any of these Black Mirror videos. But also, we are in the midst of covering so many other great things, including The Last of Us, which is right around the corner. We're in the midst of The Handmaid's Tale. Yellow Jackets is wrapping up. So by subscribing, you help to make sure you don't miss any of this.
And speaking of shows that are wrapping up, we are wrapping up with The Pit over on our Patreon. It is another great way to be able to support us here at the channel and chat with us more about all the shows that you guys are watching and that we are covering.
Yeah.
And we're also covering Bosch Legacy over on our Patreon as well. It is the only place that you can get those videos. So thank you so much to everyone who is helping support us.
Thank you guys so much.
Okay, so this episode, we talked a little bit about, how it was very good, but how we would never watch it again.
Yeah.
It reminds me a lot of the movie Requiem for a Dream. Anyone
Oh.
out there who has watched that, I feel like you know what I'm talking about, which is I will never watch that movie again, but it is easily one of the best movies I've ever watched. It was so sad and broken. And I walked out of that movie just feeling terrible about myself. And it really stuck with me. This episode, Common People, is going to do the same thing. It's really going to stick with me. It is an episode that I'm going to be thinking about for a while in all the worst ways because it is making me feel so bad.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't think Requiem for a Dream, but that makes total sense. And I think this episode, for a lot of people, is going to reverberate in that same sort of way because it's so prescient. It's talking about things that are so important. I think this isn't even so much a beef as it just is, as there's so much content out there. And I think because of that, it's hard to do anything that is necessarily like that revolutionary. And that this episode felt to me like a very, very dark and serious version of the Amazon show Upload, which is a lot more comedic,
Very dark,
but is
yeah.
really also about this idea of oh, after something really terrible happens to you, there's a way to sort of keep a part of you alive in some sort of other existence. But oh, you have to do this or do that or pay for it or jump through all these hoops in order to make it happen. But I think what made this really hit home, obviously, in a way that Upload did not, is that we're talking about very, very specific people. And also here, someone and Amanda who's played, by Rashida Jones, somebody who is trying to sort of preserve the normal life that she had before. It's just clearly not working out that way.
I think in the TV landscape, the way that it is, and even in movies, we did mention Requiem for a Dream, I think it's very bold and brave to be putting out shows or movies that do make you feel this bad at the end of them, because there is less of a rewatchability with them. And even with then recommending it to people, I remember my friend Sean recommended Requiem for a Dream for me, where he was just like, this movie is so good, it's so good, you have to see it. And I was like, one day I was like, oh man, I'm having a great day, I'm gonna go rent this movie. That's how long ago this was. I'm gonna go rent this movie because I'm feeling great, I want to watch a great movie. And then it was like, oh wow, my whole day is ruined. But it is the absolute, it was so good. And it's the same with this, where it is about this, this couple who is like truly in love, and, they're trying to have a baby, and, they're working through life, and, enjoying their anniversary, going back to this like kind of dumpy place where, it was like a big deal for them. And every year they go there. And shortly after, they learned that Amanda has a tumor and it's going to kill her, and that there is no way to get around it unless they go to this experimental company that's like, yeah, we make like, a backup of that part of her brain, and then we just feed it through computer for the rest of her life, and she'll be exactly the same. It sounds too good to be true, because it is.
Yeah, it really, really is. And Amanda ends up on the Rivermind program, and we start to see it go okay at first, but ... things end very, very quickly there, because not only does she sleep a lot, but the one moment during this episode where I hate to say it, where I did laugh a little bit, was when the advertisement started to feed a little bit out of her mouth. And the time that she advertised the dating service, I was cringing. I was so uncomfortable.
It was so uncomfortable. I mean, but it makes sense. And a lot of us in that weird way can relate to that, where it's like, oh, you want Netflix? We're all watching this on Netflix. Oh, you can have this service that has ads for this amount. Or you can upgrade to the next level where there isn't any, or the next level where you get this. And it's like, we're all so conditioned now that it's okay to have these different levels of service, where it's kind of like, or you could just offer us the service, right? Like, if we can't afford the bigger, better service, then we have to suffer through these ads and all these other things. Like, you're still getting our money. Just charge the one service and we'll all just pay for it.
I think this episode is giving you commentary on a lot of different things all at once, because a part of it is how companies are squeezing people for every last drop of their money. But then it's also sort of diving more into this idea of digital footprints. And we've seen a lot of this through regulations that are happening all over the world right now, as to how companies are going to see your data, because she's basically walking around collecting data from people and then feeding them advertisements that she feels are going to suit their interest. And just as we all know, for everybody who's been browsing online for a long time, those aren't always accurate. And you get these things sometimes where you're just like, why am I seeing this ad? This does not apply to me at all.
Yeah, or even if you're not browsing, you're just, I've been sitting in my living room with my phone beside me and my smart TV, and where nothing is actually on, and I'm talking about whatever, and then I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm going to go watch some YouTube videos, and all of a sudden I'm getting ads for like really random conversations I've had in my house, where I'm like, why am I being advertised this? That's really weird. I just had this conversation like a couple hours ago about this like weird thing that happened, and now they're like selling me whatever that doesn't really have anything to do with my life. You guys are just spying.
This is sort of the weird Black Mirror stuff within this episode. And we know Charlie Brooker's always going to throw this stuff there. But what makes this show typically so effective? I know there are some duds here or there, but in general,
Amazing Day.
I will defend that episode. I don't know why. But
I don't know why.
It was so bad it was good. But okay,
No, no,
here's
no.
with this episode, what he's done that's so effective is that he's taken these like broad sci-fi concepts, but he's also distilled them into this heartbreaking, love story of Mike who wants to do everything he can to help Amanda, to keep the spirit of the Amanda he knows and loves alive, to the point where he is basically just wearing himself thin, working constantly, and even when he's not on the job, basically then humiliating himself and hurting himself for money.
Yeah, which is another thing that is happening,
Yeah.
currently happening. People are online, they are streaming, they will take donations to do whatever online. This is not a new concept, but it's
No.
a dark, horrifying concept that then you have people who are, we'll call them common people, who just want to, keep their life going, where now she's basically being held by this company that if they don't get the money together, she's not going to be able to have a functional life. And it's so sad. And he's at the spot that he's doing these things he would never do because of love, somebody that he loves. What are you willing to do for the person that you love? To
Yeah.
the point that even when they're there being like, okay, what's the next upgrade? What's the next upgrade? And they're like, oh man, we're going to have to use the baby money. And you've got the person who's selling Rivermind be like, a baby? Oh, no, 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 no. That's
Yeah.
an extra $90 a month. You can't have a baby because it uses more of your mind to be able to create a life. And at that point, you can just see that they're like, we don't even care anymore. We're done with this.
I have never hated Tracy Ellis Ross, and this episode really did its best to make me hate Tracy Ellis Ross because she just sat there with a straight face and continued to tell them how they were going to have to spend X and Y money for more and more things, or that basically even their Rivermind Plus is being turned into
Yeah.
Rivermind Weak Sauce because you actually need more time to sleep so that more of your data can be transferred over unless you do Rivermind Plus, 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 Plus.
Yeah, that baby thing just like that was the thing that really got me when she was just like, "Oh, and now you have to have this extra money if you're even trying to have a baby." And then watching at the end where these two people show
Oh,
up to
no.
buy the crib
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, no, we're not trying to have a baby. We're just going to light it on fire." And you could just see it on his face where he's like, it's done. I'm done.
That just made me so angry. I was just like, why did you have to include that in here, Charlie? Like, but what benefit
So awful.
does that give us other than just make us feel really, really terrible? Now,
Yes.
I was curious how far they were going to take sort of the Rivermind premise, where I think that they could have just done, oh, if you want a complete and total normal life with no downtime, with no, oh, you have to sleep all this time and you're not restful, you can go to our optimum plan. But for some reason, instead, they basically made the optimum plan this show's version of like the limitless pill, where you do this and you can suddenly do whatever you want. And that was kind of Black Mirror in its own way, where it's like, we're going to give you the ability to do almost everything, but then in doing almost everything, are you even recognizable as yourself anymore?
Yeah, and even seeing them get to that point where it's like, oh, now we can actually go back to our place that we celebrate our anniversary because now we've got the plan that will allow us to go past these particular cell towers
Yeah.
basically. And I've got you this pass, this 12-hour pass that lets you feel everything at all the best. And it's those passes also irritated me to no end
Yeah.
because those are things that exist now where they're like these little micro transactions where it's like, yeah, you already pay for the service and you already pay monthly for the service. Now, if you want this extra little thing, but you can't afford the whole thing, we'll let you have this micro transaction where you can have it for 12 hours. I saw that. I was just like, now I'm just mad.
It's the Black Mirror version of the horse armor from Oblivion, where it's
I
just like,
know.
why am I paying for this horse armor? You should just be giving this to me
Yeah.
already. But I mean, it's the extreme example of what this show is trying to tell us, which is just that companies are taking and taking and taking, and they're never actually giving anything back. And it leads us ultimately to this just like absolutely heartbreaking part of the end of the episode where the money is just going too tight and it doesn't seem like there's any way in which to keep things going anymore, and he has to effectively say goodbye to her.
Yeah, this company has made it so that no one can afford this except the rich, which
Yeah.
is kind of where things are now in general with
Yeah.
medical, right? Like, unless you're really wealthy, everybody's kind of stuck on these common people plans where we're
Yeah.
all like, well, why don't we all have the same level of healthcare? And it's happening here too, where it's like, okay, it starts out that everybody has the same level, but as the company grows and the company becomes more greedy and wants more and more and more, there's no way to be able to actually afford this so that everybody can have the same level of care. And yeah, when they get to this end where he's like, I was able to buy you just these few minutes of, ecstasy that's left for you where you can have all the wonderful senses and smell the flowers and feel the wind. But at the end of it, she's just like, and it's time. Like, I can't live like this anymore.
Yeah.
And I can't have you live like this anymore because this is the story of sacrifice for love, right? What are
Yeah.
you willing to do for the person you love? And most of us out there are like, we'll do anything. And you see what Mike does for the person that he loves, where she's not okay with it, but at the other side of it, she can't tell him what to do. He is an adult, and even though she's asked him multiple times, like, don't do the tooth thing anymore,
Yeah.
don't do this, like, pull it back, he's still doing it. So she's at the point that she's like, it's enough. I'm not going to allow you to sacrifice everything for your love for me. I'm done, and I'm going to sacrifice myself and my love for you because I just can't anymore.
I'm sure a lot of you out here have had this phenomenon where you can kind of picture something really similar to what you're watching and you're trying to vocalize what it is. And that's what I'm kind of feeling at the end of this episode. Like, there's something on the tip of my tongue that it really reminds me of, this feeling of her having these final moments of just like blissful peace in existence before she comes to that realization. I mean, the closest thing I can compare it to is the infamous look at the flowers scene from The Walking Dead, which continues to
Oh,
make me like horribly upset to this very day. But it is just a heartbreaking into this story. And I mean, it's an allegory, it's a metaphor, it's whatever you want to describe it as. But it's that, Charlie and the Black Mirror team, like, they clearly went into this episode with a very clear objective of, okay, this is what we want people to think about these powerful companies through this episode. Here's how we're going to express it. We're going to get Rashida Jones because, we know she has no problem doing really, really weird stuff. We saw Sunny, so it's like, okay, let's throw her into this. It'll be effective, relatable, and you're going to be left thinking about a lot of stuff.
yeah, and she's just so likable. So, I mean, like, in general, as a
Yeah.
person, when you see her in interviews and stuff, that even when she's playing, roles like Sunny and this role, for me, I just feel even more empathy towards her because I just like
Yes.
Rashida Jones. So she was a really good cast.
Yeah.
But that last scene where he ends up killing her, he can't really live with what he's done, and you see him go into the streaming room with a knife.
Yeah.
I was just like, oh my goodness. And now he's never going to have peace, and he's just going to go in there, and I think we all know what he's going to do.
Yeah, and that's just gut wrenching in its own entire way. Like,
Yes.
this entire story is all about that. It's gonna sit with us. I'm curious to see if the rest of this season ends up taking any of those feelings away or makes us feel better, because that's certainly not what Black Mirror often does.
No, like, yes, they do have these episodes, absolutely, that, just punch us right in the heart.
Yeah,
Again, I was really surprised that they started the season off
yeah,
with this episode, even though this episode to me, it's a 10 out of 10 the whole way through. It was solid.
yeah.
The story was really well told, beginning to end, but it was so depressing that even like getting ready to go into the next
I know.
episode, I'm like, if this next episode isn't Demon 79 or something that's just going to have like a little bit of a more lighthearted feel
Yeah.
to it, I'm just going to have a hard time this season.
Yeah, well, one thing I think I'm excited to do is just sort of look at all these episodes, compare them, contrast them, kind of get a good perspective as to
Mm.
what's being told to us this time. But that's where we are coming out of Common People. Did you guys like this episode? Are you ever going to watch it again? Let us know in the comments, and you can hit that subscribe button for more coverage of Black Mirror. Also, The Last of Us, The Handmaid's Tale, so much
Mhm.
good stuff. And support us further by joining our Patreon. That link is in the description. We are covering exclusively there The Pit,
Mhm.
Bosch Legacy. Thank you so much. We'll see you here next time.